let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to dissect a massive geopolitical firestorm today that kicked off on a simple podcast, and we'll use it to explore the fascinating and honestly kind of murky anatomy of modern narrative warfare. You know, we live in this crazy era where an explosive claim can fly all the way around the globe before a single fact-checker even has their morning coffee. So today, we are putting a magnifying glass over one specific, wild story, a tale involving nuclear powers, elite intelligence agencies, and secret peace talks in the Swiss Alps.
Listen to this quote: "If you touch our delegation, we're going to wipe you off the map, period." That is an explosive, literally cinematic threat. Supposedly, this was Pakistan's ultra-aggressive response to a Mossad plot that was uncovered in the pristine Swiss Alps during high-stakes US-Iran peace talks. This incredible narrative was broadcasted to the world by Brazilian journalist Pepe Escobar, speaking on Mario Nawfal's podcast. And it seriously had the whole shebang: a daring assassination attempt, a miraculous interception, and a chilling ultimate warning sent through a back channel.
But here's the million-dollar question. Did this diplomatic showdown actually happen? Because this claim spread like wildfire. It metastasized across social media in a matter of hours. Telegram channels amplified it, Twitter threads dissected it, and YouTube commentators spent hours analyzing it. The sheer speed of this thing really forces us to ask, how do we critically evaluate these kinds of explosive allegations in today's digital megaphone culture, especially when the algorithms are totally wired to reward sensation over actual verification?
Okay, Section 1, the viral assassination claim.
Let's break down exactly what was claimed here. There are three main pillars. First, the ISI supposedly intercepted ultra-credible info of a Mossad plot against Field Marshal Asim Munir. Second, a back-channel warning was sent via Oman. And third, that existential threat to wipe Israel off the map. What's really interesting is how these specific details made the story feel so totally real to people. Like, take the phrase ultra-credible. It sounds super official, right? But actually, real intelligence professionals almost never use binary superlatives like that. Intelligence usually exists on a spectrum of probability. Still, throw in an Oman back channel and a nuclear threat, and you've got a narrative perfectly engineered to thrill listeners.
Moving right along to Section 2, the swift official denial.
The Hollywood illusion shatters pretty much instantly when you look at reality. A senior Pakistani security official completely denied the story, literally calling it absolutely rubbish and complete nonsense. And frankly, common sense backs that up. Think about it. If there was a real active plot against a nuclear-armed military chief at a global summit, you would see absolute chaos. You'd see massive security perimeters, sudden route changes, a huge reaction from Swiss and American security protocols. But there was nothing. Total silence. And that lack of any physical security escalation completely exposes the rumor for what it really is.
Which brings us to Section 3, Mossad's real operational playbook.
To understand why this rumor totally collapses under scrutiny, we need to compare it against Mossad's actual track record. Look at the timeline here. Yes, Mossad is highly capable. We saw that with the targeted killing of Mohsen Fakhrizadeh in 2020. But they also make massive errors. In 1973 in Lillehammer, they mistakenly hit a waiter. In Dubai in 2010, an entire hit squad got caught on CCTV. Their real operations rely on exploiting vulnerabilities where they can maintain deniability. Targeting a heavily guarded military chief in a neutral, highly secure country like Switzerland right during international peace talks, that completely defies their operational signature. The strategic risk is just way, way too high. And let's talk about the specific people who would theoretically pull this off. Enter Kidun. It's Hebrew for bayonet. We're talking about an incredibly elite subunit of fewer than 75 operatives. They use advanced tradecraft, intense psychological conditioning, and their entire existence relies on absolute impenetrable secrecy. So the idea that an active plot by this specific unit was just casually intercepted beforehand by the target's intelligence agency, that would represent an unprecedented, catastrophic operational failure for a unit of this caliber. It simply doesn't track with how they operate in the shadows.
Next up, Section 4, the rules of targeted killings.
Beyond the spies and tradecraft, there's a rigid, bureaucratic reality to how these decisions actually get made. It's a four-step chain. Operational units identify the target, intel chiefs review it, but step 3 is the kicker. The Israeli prime minister has to personally authorize it. You cannot delegate that. Authorizing a strike on the active military chief of a nuclear-armed country like Pakistan, that risks massive, uncontainable geopolitical fallout, potentially even war, not to mention a complete rupture with the US, who was hosting the talks. The idea that a prime minister would sign off on that under these circumstances is strategically absurd.
Plus, let's look at the warning aspect of the rumor. Using a diplomatic back channel like Oman to deliver a theatrical, social media-style death threat completely ignores how real intelligence protocols work. The doctrine of targeted operations relies entirely on surprise. If an intelligence agency intercepts a plot, their goal is to secure the target and leverage that intelligence. They absolutely do not send a dramatic heads-up that burns their advantage. Advance warnings contradict the very core of covert methodology. It just doesn't happen.
Finally, Section 5, the modern disinformation ecosystem. So if the story is operationally and strategically baseless on pretty much every front, why did it spread so incredibly fast? Well, look at the drivers here. The unscripted podcast format is basically a frictionless highway for rumors. No editorial rigor, no fact-checking. And this specific rumor served a whole bunch of different agendas all at once. It fed engagement farmers looking for clicks, it aligned perfectly with Iranian narrative warfare, it resonated with certain domestic politics in Pakistan, and it capitalized on pre-existing anti-Israel sentiment. It was literally the perfect cocktail of confirmation bias. In an age where literally anyone can claim anything online without an editor, we've got to arm ourselves with a framework for truth. Always ask, what's the source's track record? Is there real official corroboration, or is the institutional silence deafening? Does the story actually fit the operational patterns of the people involved? Who benefits from this being believed? And finally, does it sound like real, precise intelligence jargon or a rejected movie script? Applying these disciplined steps is absolutely crucial to protecting ourselves from our own biases.
To wrap this up, in the shadows where intelligence operates, disciplined skepticism is the only light we have. At the end of the day, the most dangerous weapon out there right now isn't some elite operative in the field. It's a compelling lie that travels faster than the truth. It completely erodes our trust in reality and blurs the lines between facts and fiction. So I leave you with this to ponder. The next time a sensational, too-good-to-be-true rumor hits your feed, how are you going to protect your own capacity for critical thought?